just a couple minutes.
Hey, it's Christy. We went out last Wednesday. Hi, it's your favorite
Just calling to see if you was still going
sister.
kayaking this
We
weekend.
were there just yesterday, and they had
The
plenty.
fuel is just
Look, I got 2 liters,
Do you know how
6
many
pack.
bowling lanes you have
Can I
open?
place an order
to
be picked
last
up?
week we were talking about
Yes, I'm
Listen, baby, you can't
No,
take
you
them
don't have. I don't have it.
I was just
I
calling
have
to
a
cancel
big
our
purple
date
tree on my
I would like to order a large pizza.
We are calling
Alright,
to
here's an ad up
confirm
on
your
it.
doctor's
We'll be
appointment.
at the golf course about 9.
Raquel speaking, so make sure you bring the cup.
$16,287.
We have to let you know that we are out of stock.
calling to help you efficiently calling today to tell you about our wonderful irrigation selection.
So, Tom, what's up, mate? You look as though you forgot some. Oh, that poultry and broccoli looks very tempting.
It's okay. I just got a odd voicemail. I think someone butt dialed me.
Butt dialed. Huh. Well, did I ever tell you of the time I accidentally dialed the ranger station whilst hiking in the Modoc?
Not that I can recall.
Yes. Well, I had a marvelous yoga excursion planned. Out in the wood, in nature. Well, naturally, as a precautionary measure, I programmed the ranger station number into my phone. In the event I came across an unhappy wild animal or an unbalanced mountain man, something like that could really severely damage my... Namaste. I put the pack down. Apparently something brushed against the phone and... Imagine my surprise when the search party turned up, knocking at my tree.
Your tree?
Shall we give a listen?
Well, it's actually funny hearing it a second time. Yeah, I think someone just butt dialed me.
That's a frantic cry for help from some poor soul locked in the trunk of a car. Please again, I'll demonstrate. That sound there. That's the sound of a poor soul trying to prise open the lid.
No, it's not.
And then, yes, he says, "Someone help!"
I think he said something about milk.
There, that next sound. That's him dickering with the lid. The lock cracks open, he lifts the lid, and towering above him, this maniac is standing over him saying, "Gotcha! That's a different voice. That's a crazed maniac. That's our kidnapper."
No. But it could be the sound of clipping jumper cables to the trunk.
Jumper cables?
Yeah, he may have tried to short circuit the wiring of the trunk release. Or maybe not. Now that I hear it again, doesn't really sound like jumper cables hitting metal.
That may be true, but you still can't dismiss... Chuck! Impeccable timing, sir. Please, come listen to this voicemail that Tom received. I'd like to hear what you think is happening. I'm not going to say what I think it's about.
Okay, but be prepared, you're probably wrong.
I agree with Chuck already.
So, what do you think it is?
What do you think?
I think it's a frantic cry for help from some poor soul locked in the trunk of a car. He's managed to free his hands and make a phone call whilst attempting to break out. And sadly, Tom wants to sit back and pretend nothing's happening.
Okay. So, Tom, what do you think it is?
I think someone butt dialed me. Plain and simple. I just don't think that the sounds match items that are normally found in the trunk.
Okay. Well, you're both actually wrong. You guys know I worked in communications while in the Marines, right? This is a classic example of what's called signal convergence. Basically, it's overlapping phone calls sent to you from the nearest cell tower. Your microwave probably helped reel them in. Play the message again. The first voice you hear, a woman, obviously has her hands full with her grocery bag, cell phone, keys, and oh yes, her 4-year-old son, Malachi. Now if you hear that moment of silence, in the Corps we call that phase cancellation. It's actually quite common with civilian technology. And that's when we start to hear the second call. It sounds like a man hitting a golf ball out of the pine straw. He says go ball, which means his shot must have fallen just short of the green. It's a commonly used expression on the golf course, although it doesn't change the ball's flight or roll.
Wait a minute. What is a cell phone? I'm not a golfer, but if this guy's playing golf, he's not on his phone.
It's in his pocket, of course.
So what you're saying is 2 calls from people I don't know converged at the same time. Both of them accidentally decide to call me?
Right.
At least your theory's a lot more entertaining. You've introduced a second caller, second shooter.
The seriousness of the situation is there is a poor soul being asphyxiated at this very moment.
Whether it's intentional or unintentional, I'm telling you there are 2 callers on that voicemail. We use the same phase cancellation tactic on a mission in Okinawa.
I'm going to make hats for both of you.
Chuck, we must go find this poor soul who's locked in a trunk. His whole life is flashing before his eyes. He's breathing his last. And he's begging, he's hoping, he's pleading, he's praying, and he's crying that somebody comes to save him.
Eric, there's no one locked in a trunk. I've been locked in a trunk before. And I know the sounds I made.
Tom, you're a bright lad. You must use your reasoning to understand the deadly implications of leaving this poor soul in the whimsy of a madman.
Look, man, I usually get a kick out of your outlandish assumptions, but I agree with Chuck on this one. There's no one locked in a trunk.
Don't put words in my mouth.
You just said there was no one locked in the trunk.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You said there was no one locked in the trunk.
No, I said I've been locked in a trunk before, and I know the sounds I made.
Eric, didn't Chuck just say there was no one locked in the trunk?
Perhaps. Perhaps not. Anything I say would seem outlandish.
Okay, I'm sorry. But he's not going to get away with this one. You just said there was no one locked in a trunk.
So let me get this straight. You're gonna stand there and tell me that you can prove that I said no one was in the trunk? You're telling me that you can prove that I can prove the non-existence of something? Well, mister, I appreciate the compliment.
Hi, guys.
Clarice, I want you to listen to something.
I'm gonna say that it was somebody jogging, and they were changing the song on their phone, and they accidentally dialed you. I've been listening to you guys from out in the hall. Oh, and by the way, Chuck, you did say that.
Thank you.
The odd thing is, though,
Gotcha.
the call came in last night. You just got the message today. Would you play it again? The voice, I think that she had the volume up too loud in her ears, and she responded with the, "Oh, man." Well, I'm eating cold food today. You guys have fun with your mystery?
I guess that could make sense. Why didn't the call come through into today? How is that?
No, it's not possible. For that, you're looking at an example of electro-weak interaction, which goes far too deep into quantum mechanics for a cell phone signal.
Did anything of that sort ever happen to you whilst you were in the Army?
Marines. And no.
Yeah, quite right. Aim high!
Joggers. Street lamps. My guess is that it had something to do with the high energy output of those street lamps out there. That, coupled with a microwave acting as an antenna booster for your cell phone. I think a similar technique was used in Project Pegasus in the 70s.
I buy that.
Okay, no and no. Project Pegasus is make-believe. Why don't we just say that the call came from one of those kids that time traveled from the 70s?
I mean, how can we be sure they didn't?
Okay, let's say Clarice visited us from the future to tell us what really happened with that phone call.
Well, that's a possibility, too. In Project Pegasus, the travelers were only in the past for a short time. Notice how quickly Clarice left after she told us the truth. The Clarice in her office is the present Clarice who knows our struggle with the voicemail. So in the future, she came back to tell us who actually called.
So that was the future Clarice?
Right.
That's a bloody brilliant theorem.
Okay, Eric, do not egg him on. He's just pulling stuff out of his conspiracy theory hat.
Well, notice how the future Clarice isn't here with us in the present.
Okay, so we'll agree that future Clarice is not here.
Right. Future Clarice isn't here.
Right.
Right.
Right?
Right. Future Clarice isn't here.
Right.
Sorry, guys. Forgot my drink.
All right. Enough is enough. At this point, my break is over, and I haven't even got anything to eat. If it's important, whoever it is, call me back.
Unless he's dead.
Or the callers didn't know you.
I can't believe you'd give up this easily, Tom. You seem the sort who'd do anything to help save someone's life.
Eric is right. Just not about the kidnapping. But what if it is something serious? Look, there's a way we can find out once and for all who called you and when.
How?
We hack into the cell phone towers.
What?
It's actually quite easy, just a little dangerous. At the top of every cell phone tower, there's a control panel, much like an old laptop.
Chuck is walking the line between madness and genius, and I like it.
So what do you say, Tom? Want to climb a cell phone tower? We can grab lunch afterwards.
You guys are insane.
Can we borrow your cell phone? We really can't trace the call without your cell phone.
If it buys me a little peace and quiet and a little time to work, sure. I misplace the thing all the time anyway.
It's a good thing you're driving, Chuck. I'm so excited. Going up in a cell tower and all.
We need to listen to that message again. Why don't you make yourself useful and try to find a cable or something for us to plug it into the stereo?
A cord? Well, I may have one. I've got lots of stuff.
You don't know what you have in your own car?
I've had many things and many cars. Someday the twain shall meet.
Why don't you check in the back there?
All right. Well, there's stuff back here, that's for
For the
sure.
love of cheese, man, let me help you.
Clarice, can you please forward all my phone calls?
Alrighty, sir.
Yes, sweetheart. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Where's my cell phone?
good morning, lad.
Hi, Tom here. Actually, I'm not, so you know what to do at the beep.
Is that milk? Hi-ho!
The good stuff.
How did my phone get on silent?